we're off. This one is from. This story is from Task and Purpose, and the Supreme Court refuses again to review whether military members can sue for malpractice. All right. So the Supreme Court once again refused to hear a case challenging the 75-year-old rule that service members may not sue the government for service-related harm, including when military doctors commit malpractice. Yeah. The court rejected the case brought by a Maryland Air National Guardsman who was paralyzed in April 2018 by a botched back surgery at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland. Staff Sergeant Ryan G. Carter, a dual status guardsman who was in inactive status. Now that I kind of wish Anna was here for that thing, because inactive status is way gray to me. That's really weird about trying to get stuff done, right? But he was in inactive status when he was operated on, sought to get the court to reconsider the so-called Feris Doctrine, a court ruling on the Federal Tort Claims Act, which governs how U.S. citizens can sue the government for negligence or wrongdoing. The Feris Doctrine basically is a U.S. Supreme Court ruling that prevents active military members from suing the federal government for injuries sustained while on duty. The doctrine was established in the 1950 case Feris versus the United States. Furthermore, the Feris Doctrine effectively bars service members from collecting damages from the U.S. government for personal injuries experienced in the performance of their duties. It also bars families of service members from filing wrongful death or loss of consortium actions when a service member is killed or injured.
So this falls under that last case that we talked about with the guy that was prescribed 7 different drugs. Remember the last one we talked about?
Yeah.
Same kind of thing,
right.
So
shout out to Josh Respecty and his stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, here's the thing. He was on inactive status, right?
So when he had the surgery.
So he wasn't on orders and he wasn't on active status.
So it makes you a civilian.
So the Feris Doctrine doesn't fucking apply in the way
it doesn't.
you said it.
But they were saying his injuries were the result of his service. So that's how they're. It's very complicated. But I just wanted
such a double standard. Like here's the thing, right, Marty? Like if you got in that same motorcycle accident and you weren't on TR or AGR
let's
orders,
say I was off orders. Yeah,
the military wouldn't have done anything for you.
Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
Like you would have gotten no VA disability eventually. You would have even gotten no medical clearance, no medical assistance.
Right.
From the active duty side, you would have had to file everything through TRICARE.
Would have been all on mine. Yeah.
All on yours, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's because you were on inactive status. You weren't active.
Correct. And that's why they're always careful.
So this is a bullshit double standard.
Double standard.
Yeah.
If you get injured and you're not on active status, they're not touching you at all. However, if you're not on active status
and we jack you up
by a military member, you still can't come at us.
Well, let's say you're pulling guard mount as a reservist or you're doing maintenance as a reservist. You jack your back up.
Yep.
On the time that you're in status, right? You go off. And you get assessed and you're like, hey, you need to have surgery on this.
Civilian
I don't know
doctor,
how he got a military doctor to do service on him when he was not in status. That's curious too.
As a reservist, we had to put people on orders sometimes
just to go to the doctor.
Doctor.
Right. I agree. And so that was always a weird one. So, but it was more about how the Feris Doctrine and the Supreme Court won't really hear arguments against it, right?
Well,
so the Supreme Court rejected Carter's case without an opinion. Justice Clarence Thomas wrote a dissent of the decision by the court to not consider Carter's case. Thomas is a longtime critic of the Feris Doctrine, which he said he considers to be a mistake by the court. Justice Thomas says courts arbitrarily deprive injured service members and their families of a remedy that Congress provided them. As I have said before, we should fix a mess that we have made, is what Justice Thomas said.
Does the Feris Doctrine apply to all them guys in Congress? Oh, no, it doesn't, does it?
Right. Thomas said in his opinion that the Supreme Court had never articulated a coherent justification, and as a result, the lower courts have inconsistently applied the Feris Doctrine. Justice Thomas noted cases that sought to sue the government over a wide range of topics, including sexual assault by another soldier, injuries from recreational activities with military-owned equipment, or exposure to toxic chemicals on a military base were considered part of military service. Others tried to assess whether service member children can sue for injuries sustained in utero from negligent prenatal care, or if the doctrine extends to dual status technicians like Sergeant Carter, who are both civilian employees and in the military reserves. So there's a lot of problems with this thing.
Well, especially if you're impacting the civilian job, right? Where this guy can't go back to work.
He got injured militarily. Yeah, right. Yeah. You can't claim workers' comp.
Yeah,
your military or your civilian job.
Can you imagine that if he was in? So he might be an art as a civilian.
Oh God,
right?
Yeah, right.
He could be an art technician.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
As a military status, he's not active military, but he's working for the military.
Yeah.
And now he's not employable by them anymore.
It almost seems that the military's answer to issues like this is to go, we'll just give you 100% disabled and we'll buy you off.
We're going to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see it.
This last one is Lauren Palladini.
Here's the crazy thing is that dude is paralyzed.
Essentially, yeah.
He's not like...
Right.
Yeah.
And that doctrine prevents him from any kind of recoupment. Right.
Nothing.
And he's paralyzed because of what the military docs did. Okay. Cut off the wrong leg. Is like, shit. Can't sue over that.
That's crazy.
But we'll make you 100% disabled? That's
can't
the payment?
walk. You're fucking...
Lauren Palladini, whose case was also added to Sergeant Carter's when it went up to the Supreme Court. She was an 82nd Airborne Division soldier who survived a botched cesarean section at Womack Army Medical Center at Fort Bragg, North Carolina in 2019. Her case was included in the petition. Palladini told Task and Purpose that pursuing malpractice claims through the administrative process has cost her tens of thousands of dollars in legal and expert fees.
Crazy.
She said, it's not working. It's not going to work. The same institution that has committed the malpractice is the same institution who gets to be the judge and the jury over that malpractice.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you're stuck. They got it. And because the court won't hear it. They won't even hear arguments on it.
That's what's crap is the court just was like, yeah, we're not hearing that.
Yeah. Out of our purview.
But it's not. It shouldn't be.
They just hand waved that whole thing away.
I don't know.
Well, and again, this goes back to what we talked about on a number of cases back where we said, okay, look, you guys get to go play in that fucking fire foam. Have fun. Oh,
yeah.
You know,
Forgot about that one. Right.
Yeah, you got water at fucking Marine Corps station, whatever, that's killing people. I mean, causing cancer. I mean, it's crazy how many times the military have hurt people.
Yeah.
And aren't held accountable.
And that's that whole, especially years later thing.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, the cops at the nuclear sites who weren't even in the nuclear stuff.
Yeah.
But are now getting cancer.
Yeah.
But they can't claim it. You know, it's just, you're right. You're right. Any wonder why we can't sign these guys up?
Well, and then you look at us three and you go, wow, I wonder how us three came out unscathed.
Relatively unscathed.
Or did we, right?
Yeah.
We're waiting for something. I don't know.
We're waiting.
Yeah.
My left nipple's falling off. It's hanging on by a thread right now. Man.
Gotcha. Sew that thing on, man.
Yeah.